Hello everyone, welcome back to the second session for Troubleshooting Masterclass. In our previous session, we saw understanding the problem, root cause analysis, troubleshooting methodology, and technical skills. In the second session, now we are going to start with problem-solving techniques. There are so many techniques which enterprises use based on the type of organization they are with and based on what kind of experience people they are with. So one among the technique which mostly used is brainstorming technique. So what is a brainstorming technique? Just imagine, guys, when you have been running into any specific issues, right? You might have a group of people thinking about this and working toward the common goal. So each one of you in a group might be thinking each one of the aspect and come up with brainstorming. That's why this is more about generating a large number of creative ideas to solve a problem. These kind of issues will be a much bigger one. It's not like breakfast kind of it. It might be happening on the organization level or some kind of domain specific level. People will use brainstorming technique. Next is mind mapping technique. Mind mapping technique is more about visualizing the diagrams of your great ideas or a concepts or information related to your top problem or topic. Because most of us know when you turn any data into a pictorial, it represents quite easy to understand from the all level of people. That's why mind mapping will definitely help on creating that into the diagram of your available data or a concept or idea or ideation where you have been with. Next is SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis also been widely used analysis in enterprise to identify the strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats related to the particular problem or a situation. So SWOT analysis was used in different situations where you have been with it, but if you have been want to really address a problem in a longer time with much visibility, then SWOT analysis will really help you for that. And then RCA is a root cause analysis. As we've been discussed, root cause analysis is one of the best technique available in the market, which are most widely used in the market or an enterprise, which will really help to narrow down the issue. And one among the, identifying the issue, people will use 5 Eyes. I'm going to give you an example. What is 5 Eyes and how 5 Eyes you can use to find root cause of the problem. Next is Fishbone. Fishbone is also a visual tool, a diagram, which will underline the cause of the problem and by organization potential causes into the categories. So you're going to break down into the categories. That's where your fishbone diagram technique will really help you to break into the chunks. Other one is Pareto analysis, which is identifying the most important or frequent causes of the problem. That means if you know from last 3 quarters or 2 quarters, what are the frequent issues happens and how this issue has been happening quite sometimes, maybe different symptoms. Those kind of things will help. In Pareto analysis, it's more about 80-20 rule, which states 80% of problems are caused by 20% of the factors. So that's where Pareto analysis will come into place. So if you know how frequency of an issue with the different kind of categories, then Pareto analysis will help you. Then you're going to have a critical thinking, and critical thinking is also one of the good technique. What does that mean is evaluating the information and evidences to determine the most likely cause of the problem. If you remember, we were talking in the technical skills. In the technical skills, while we have been defining, you need to have analytical skills and you need to have attention to detail. So those kind of things also will applicable to here in the critical thinking, which will help you to find a problem or cause of the problem on the most effective solution. Then you have a 6 thinking hats. This is also a good technique, which is going to encourage a different perspectives and approaches to a problem solving by assigning different thinking hats to the team members to represent different modes of thinking. That means if you have a group of people which have been involved to troubleshoot this issue, so you're going to assign each of the team member with a different hat, how he is supposed to think and what direction is supposed to think, and come back and discuss in the group how this discussion is going to contribute to resolve an issue. So this is also one of the good technique people will use when you have more people which are going to working on a common goal. And you have other technique also, design thinking, decision matrix, which I haven't mentioned here, but those are also the additional problem solving techniques people use in the market based on the criteria or situation where they are in with. And as I was mentioning, the example of 5 whys RCI technique, let me give you certain example over here. How does you're going to start your why questioning? Let me give you or take an example. Let's say that somebody is reported saying one of the server or one of my server went down. So how we are going to start troubleshooting using a 5 whys technique? So the first question you need to ask yourself or somebody, why did the server go down? Is it the server being down because somebody is turned off, or somebody initiated a shutdown, or any maintenance activities happened, or is there any other cause? Let's say that the server was shut down unexpectedly. The next question will come from the answer given for the first question. So like, why did the server shut down unexpectedly? The answer is, let's say in some of the situations, the power supply failed. In your situation, it might be different. Somebody has initiated a reboot, it didn't came up, or somebody patched the server, after server patch they didn't come up. So there might be different situations can cause that problem. So to take an example, let's say the power supply has been failed. Then why the power supply has been failed? Answer: the power supply was not replaced even though it was showing signs of wear and tear. That means somebody has been monitoring the power supply, it has been reported the issue, but somebody has not taken the appropriate action that caused this power supply fail. The question comes again, next question, why was the power supply not replaced even though it was not showing signs of wear and tear? That means there was no preventive maintenance plan in place of the server. That means somebody has been monitoring, but there is no maintenance plan attached to it. So why there is no preventive maintenance plan is in place for the server? The IT department or who owns the server didn't have a standard procedure for preventive maintenance. That means there is no proper time window has been assigned or been managed by the third parties in this case, is not allowed to do a preventive maintenance. Now, if you look at the 5 whys RCI technique, first question is why the server went down? The answer is due to lack of standard procedure for preventive maintenance, which caused the server go down. That's how you are going to give the summary. So this is the 5 whys RCA technique, which is going to help you to find the root cause of an issue. This is one of the best technique which I've been used in my previous organizations, which are very effectively, and it really helped me in most of the situations. I hope it makes sense for you now. Next, communication skills. So communication skills, I'm not going to talk about, how you need to speak and what page you need to speak. That's not my interest over here. Rather, my interest more on it, what kind of communication skills you need to, adhere to get into this troubleshooting mindset. You need to really be patient while listening it. That means you need to really an active listener. When somebody's saying point in detail, as I mentioned in the technical skills, you need to be very active or accurate in detailing while you're making the notes. So for that, you need to really be an active listener or good listener. Because until you listen appropriately, you really cannot understand the problem statement itself. Or until you listen appropriately, you may not able to derive what caused an issue. Or until you listen properly, you may not able to articulate to your stakeholders appropriately. So it causes a lot of problems until you listen appropriately. So active listening is most important thing in your communication. Then effective questioning. As I mentioned in my previous session also, you really need to have questions asked appropriately. What does that mean is, let's say if you're having an issue in an application, you need to understand what are the dependencies and whether this application is dependent on internal or third-party applications, or if something goes down, this application will go down, something like that. You need to ask very effective and relevant questions. And then once you have effective questioning is in place, then definitely you're going to understand much better on the problem or the situation. Then you need to show the empathy. What does empathy actually meant is, it is to understand empathy towards others, understanding their perspective and feelings, and being able to communicate in a way that is respectful and non-judgmental. What does it mean is, let's say example, if one of the customer is reporting an issue, you might feel that, okay, this issue belongs to them itself, or it's an issue need to do by them itself, but still you need to really understand why the customer came to you, even though they can resolve. That means people might not have ability or a skill, so you need to put them in the right direction. We cannot say that, okay, it's up to you now how you're going to do. No, that's what empathy is more important. And you need to be thinking from the customer or a user or somebody who reported the issue from their standpoint, how this issue has been started. That's where empathy is all about. Next is persuasion. This is also been to see things from the other's perspective, being able to communicate and benefits of particular solution or next course of action. So this is also very important in the third party or third party stakeholder standpoint, how we are going to look into from their standpoint, putting your legs into their shoes. And conflict resolution, it might happen most of the times when multiple teams have been working. What does that mean is, DBA team might be saying there is no issue with DBA, it's something to do with an application. Application team might be saying that needs to be done by some of the operating system, or operating system team might be saying that it might be issue with network. These are all conflicts when definitely been people when you multiple teams are working, it might arise. But you need to be really focused on how this conflicts can be resolved by listening all the parties and finding common ground and proposing the solutions that are acceptable to everyone. That means you really need to come up with some sort of solution people can agree to you. If they're not agreeing, try to convince. If they're not trying to convince, put it over data over them to understand. Like that happen to conflict resolution. Next is written communication. Obviously, when you're doing something, when you're sending some emails or chatting, or there is a different modes, updating the ticket or incident, whatever it might be, you really need to write clear, concise, and effectively, or reports. Whether it might be an email or a report or any of the document, it doesn't matter. You need to be very clear, concise, and effective way. You need to improve your writing communication skills. And non-verbal communication, like when we're a group of people in the room, like a war room, people have been working on a common goal to resolve some issues, then you need to really use your body language appropriately and facial expressions and tone of voice to convey meaning and emotion effectively. When you are face to face, things is a little different. You cannot share your frustration on others. Let's give an example. So you have to be really use your non-verbal communication by using your effective body language, effective facial expressions, and effective tone of voice to convey meaning precisely and clearly with emotions. That's what nonverbal communication is about. So to make sure to be precise, effective communication skills are the critical for problem solving, because as they need to help you to understand the problem, gathering information in every stage, communication skills is going to attach a value added for you. Time management. Time management, as has been already been stated multiple times, time plays a vital role. If you are not entered at right time for collecting logs, logs might be gone if there is no logging system. If after application restart, if application not able to reproduce, if you're not available at that point of time to look into the logs, you cannot identify it. So the time plays a vital role. So again, time also will help you to prioritize the things. That means if you understand the impact, if you look at in one of the thing we are looking at impact analysis, there you need to identify based on the impact, prioritization will change. Like the same way, based on the time where this incident happened, your prioritization might also be changes. So identifying the most important tasks and focusing on those first, rather than getting distracted with multiple things which are not urgent Doesn't make sense. That's why your prioritization plays a vital role. Then you need to plan and schedule. You need to really set the realistic goals. Like, if a P1 cannot resolve after 10 days, a P6, when there is a P1, you cannot work on a P6. So like this, you need to really come up with planning and schedule how you're going to working on, and how you're going to break down into the smaller tasks, and how you're going to manage those tasks which are been assigned in the scheduled timeline. Okay, that's where planning and scheduling also plays a vital role. Next is delegation. So this delegation is when you break down into multiple chunks or smaller kind of an issue, then assign things to the team who can help you to, who can contribute back to resolving the issues. If you're not delegating at the right time, if you're not delegating it appropriately, then definitely it's going to impact your total effectiveness, how you have been handling the situation. So delegation also plays a vital role, which can solve the issue on time. And time tracking is also been interlinked to all of among things which I've been talking about. You cannot spend for an initial phase for days, then you are going to spend for an RCA for only a 30 minutes left with it before submitting your RCA document. You cannot do that. You really need to understand how much time you spend on different tasks, and you need to really identify where you can need to spend more effectively and how productively you can do that. That's why time tracking plays a vital role, how you have been doing your activity and how long you have been taking for each of them. And avoid distractions, minimizing distractions and interruptions, such as you can turn off the notifications, or you can turn off unnecessary tabs. Most of my colleagues or friends, usually there are hundreds of tabs they use in Chrome or any other browser. When we get into that, if they're sharing the screen, we get very confused on what they've been working on, which tab, or they themselves confused when they have been prioritizing it. So make sure you have you don't have any distractions by following very minimal best practices. Focus on small things and focus on certain things, or one at a time kind of stuff. You need to be in hand on. And flexibility, break, and flexibility, being an adapt to the changes. Definitely you cannot expect all the time all the issues are same or similar. So that's why in most of the times you might have in unexpected situations. Based on that situation, you need to adjust and plan accordingly. One of the given example, if some management team joins your troubleshooting call, then you might not have flexibility or liberty to talk much detailing of the issue rather than giving an updates. You might be in a situations at different times, like people are keep on pushing you to give an update in a position where you don't have any update to share. Now, those kind of things, you need to be flexible to make them understand. That's where your communication skills come into place. How you have been articulating back, saying this issue has been not resolved due to XYZ reasons, and team is actively working on it. We will get back to you as soon as issue has been identified. What causing this? Kind of it, or with an RCA, or or a probable bug fix or a workaround. Unit, if you are update them, if you update your management or an appropriate required teams, then they don't bug you all the time unnecessarily. That's why you need to really keep that checks yourself and to be more flexible on it. And taking breaks, really, man. Sometimes I saw issues that took 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours, weeks. Sometimes it happens. If you're continuously working on it on certain issue, take a small break, and then that will really recharge and rest yourself, which can really help you to stay focused on project over the long term. So that's why when you are working on continuously for 2 hours, take a 2 minutes break and make sure you're not looking at your screen, or make sure grab a coffee or grab a tea based on what you're looking for. Take a small breaks, and that will really help you to regenerate or recharge yourself. Next is the best practices. I would say best practice is a combination of all this which we have been talking so far, like from the defining the problem, gather information, analyzing it, RCA, develop situations, implementations, and test and evaluate and communicate back. These are all we spoke. So each one of it, this best practices is not a standard procedure document to do it, because as I mentioned earlier, each enterprise might have a different methodology, different technique, different RC analysis, different time management, different priorities. So based on among all of this, choose the right approach, what best for your organization, or your organization might already have a certain process in place which you can pick from there to start working on it. And continuous improvement, as I really don't want to, talk continuous improvement in all the time. As I mentioned in my previous session, in the first session, the continuous improvement is at every stage. It's an ongoing effort. It's not a one-time activity. You really need to spend time all the time or over the time, when outcomes are being changed based on the where you have been working with. That means over the time, outcomes might change or might not change. But if you've been following continuous or showing continuous improvement the way you have been handling, definitely it is going to help you a lot. Because trust me, guys, nobody can learn overnight or nobody knows how to troubleshoot all the issues. It's really impossible for people to handle or people to know it. And to give, I want to really, showcase certain examples which might really help us, or which might people might how people thinks when some issue or connectivity happens. So let's get into a quick session how that we can troubleshoot these host connectivity and website connectivity issues. So let's start with a host connectivity issue. Let's say host itself, let's consider google.com for the time being. So now I'll just simple ping google.com. So I'm getting a timeout. It's okay. Not all the time ping will work, because until they allow ICMP, ping won't work. Let's say that ping has been blocked. So what's the next step? How I can identify whether the server is up and running? If it has been down, what could be potential issue? So after ping, what I can do is, whether I want to know whether I'm able to reach to the server from my laptop, then what I'll do is I'll use a trace route, and then I enter traceroute google.com. So what traceroute does it is going to show me path from my source to destination. My source is laptop here, my target is google.com over here. So if you look at, until it's going packet till third hop, then it is going to my broadband, which is my actcorp.in, and from there it has been waiting, and packet has been went till my broadband, which is my ISP, and after that it might go till google.com, but it will take a little time, because as we know, traceroute will allow up to 30 hops to wait to listen for the response. So let's see that how many hops it is going. From there, how we are going to get. So this is a basic, thumb rule how the traceroute works. It is going to wait for response up to 30 hops. The maximum is 30 hops count over here. Okay, that means from my local laptop, it went to my next router, which is my immediate router at home. From there, it went to an ISP, which is a broadband.actcorp.in. And after that, let's see till where it reaches. Guys, if you look at here, until 30 hops, this is the variant came line. That means the packet is not reaching till destination. So that means we can identify, destination, the packet is not going. But if I want to check a specific port, whether it is able to reach. What does that mean is, now say if I want to say whether it is a Linux server, if it is a Windows server, how I'm going to check whether the required port is open for my source to target. What I can use is, I can use curl -v https, or else I can use telnet google.com:80 if I want to check, or else if I want to check Linux 22 port, see, not able to connect. It's a 300 seconds timeout error is there. For that, after 300 seconds, it will time out. So 22, if it is a Windows 3389, see, that means even 22 3389 also not able to connect from my source to target. That means we can clearly say there is a clear issue in the network where I'm not able to send packet from my laptop to the target. So what I did is, to be made precise, to simulate the issue, I actually, kept entry file in my host. Now, if this entry file, I saved it. Now, if I do again, google.com, started pinging, because now you're getting from public IP. Earlier, I gave a private IP, which is not a genuine IP. And at the same time, if you want to test traceroute, see, it's going, it will, because you have a clear, and after that it will go to google.com on the traceroute, because they disable from root from there, and it is working. Then now curl 80 example if I want to test, because okay, sorry, it's my bad, I have to give double slash. See, port 80 connected to google.com, port 80. And if I want to check for 43, it's connected to google.com. And if I want to check 22, 22, because 22 is not a Linux server, because at the end of the day, it is a load balancer. From there, it is serving GSLB for me. So it is a website. So this is how I troubleshoot, host connectivity issue. And if I want to troubleshoot, website over here, host connectivity, we did it. Website is also, like, let's say that shravanroad.com page is not opening for me. It is not able to open. And when I look at the DNS probe finish in the next domain, this is the error which I'm getting in. So how do we troubleshoot this issue? So if you look at in my previous path, I was going into while I'm checking the ports, it is from the compute side, because the server side. Then before I'm checking from the ping, this is the network side, and traceroute is the network side. I'm touching the different components of a troubleshooting by using different utilities. I might use curl, I might use a ping, I might use a telnet, I might use a traceroute. These are the different utilities or tools you can use to find out and troubleshoot the connectivity side of issues. Even this, if you look at, just want to test it out here, curl -v, simple. I gave this website, and you see, could not resolve shravanroad.com. That means this itself not exists, or I'm not able to reach. That means it's first it was checking my etc host, and grab my Shravan. See, I don't have anything on the Shravan. That means it's not local DNS issue like what we tested for google.com, and it's not even public, because this itself not exist. So how I can confirm? One is curl using the connection resolve host, because it's not able to resolve that. That can show it's a DNS side. Now, if I want to look at conversion of IP, how I can do that? Ping is also not working, which you will get the IP resolution, forward lookup zone and reverse lookup zone. If I want to test dig, so this will help you to find from the DNS side. See, header shravan.com in A, and query time 7 seconds. Server is local, which is going and received. So by the time it will show us me how this has been connected. So you can use dig. So like this, you can have a troubleshooting of a different situations, different scenarios. But this is my intention is more about the approach, how we are going to solve. So you should not leave any stones unturned, as I mentioned. you need to look into different aspects, whether it's a web server, whether it's application server, whether it's a normal JVM, or it runs on top of a Tomcat, or if it runs on top of a Kong, there is so many possibilities. Application can be unavailable or not available. So those are all things which you need to be considered. If you want to be considered, like, what I'll do, whether it's services are running or not, I will log into server, then I will grab for, like, say, Kong. No, it's not exist. That means application itself not running. Or if I want to have a JVM is running or not, JVM is not running. Or if I want to look at Office, that's an example. So not running. So like this, you can log into server and you can validate whether the service is running, whether it's service has been started or not started. There's a lot of also. My overall objection is, like, how we are going to start the troubleshooting by collecting different details, by looking into detailing, by coming into an RCA, by defining the RCA document. These are all altogether with the different issues, different models, you can use it. Hope you like this session, and I'll come up with another session with different requirements on the troubleshooting. But until then, thanks for listening, and please subscribe if you like it, and kindly like, share, and subscribe. Thank you. Have a great day.